EZNZ Podcast. We're in for just a discussion of our favourites again today.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been bugging you about this.
You have.
I've been bugging you a lot.
Ever since we had Cullen on the podcast from HP a couple of weeks ago, we kind of want to show some love to all OEMs out there and just talk about some of our favourite devices available at retail in New Zealand at the moment.
Absolutely. I've been that annoying child at the work office. Every time we're doing a podcast, I'm like, so we talk about more of these today?
More
it's
of
like,
these
we'll lead it with a teaser.
What are we doing?
We'll do a teaser, and I think it's right. So I'm excited today. Very excited.
Yeah, and I think that we want to kind of keep around the similar discussions that we've already had, I think, in terms of modern PCs and modern devices, because I think the struggle, the first world struggle we see over here in New Zealand is that people aren't upgrading their devices for 5 years or so.
Which is crazy, right? You upgrade your phone nearly every year, every 2 years.
I know,
the new iPhone, what was it? We heard someone go, oh my god, it's $2,800.
Yeah, wow. And then they've got like a cheaper version in at like $1,200, I think.
Yeah, it's I'm obviously in the Android world, so I'm not on that boat, but it's like, why don't you buy a new premium PC?
Absolutely, and I think that it's really interesting, and I guess it's not something that's ever really sunk into my mind. But if you are willing to spend that much on a phone, why aren't you willing to spend that much on a PC device?
Absolutely. It's just real interesting how, just in general, people's mindsets are like that. And I know I'm cutting you off left, right, and centre today.
It's okay.
But absolutely, I've always been the opposite. I think maybe that's just how I was raised. Maybe it's because I'm a bit of a gamer.
Yeah.
But I always am the guy that would spend a lot more on a device, like a computer, a PC, and then I'd spend less on my phone.
Yeah, and I think that it's just really interesting, and I haven't even really thought about this until we've started discussing it, but just how you justify your spending to yourself, right? And I get that, maybe I use my phone more than my PC, but generally maybe not.
Yeah, I think it's all down to how consumption of media and stuff like that has evolved. Yeah. And I think almost we need to take a step back and think, is it really a better experience on my phone, or is it a better experience on my PC? Because when I'm at home, I'm always on my computer when it comes to looking at websites and stuff. I like the bigger screen. I like the desktop websites. I think they have some better experiences than a mobile website.
Things, for example, booking flights.
Yeah.
I might look at it on my phone, but when time comes to actually booking it, I put my phone down and I pick up my computer. Just little things like that. Obviously, last week we talked a lot on the podcast about some of the really cool features between your Android or iOS phone that are coming to Windows 10. And I think that really sinks to the message, and what we want to talk about today is complementing your overall experience.
Yeah.
And not having, two devices in totally different leagues, and really going for that new modern experience. And, we've got that really natural thing now. We touch a phone screen, we allocate our icons and all of that sort of stuff. So there's a kind of functionality that you can get with a Windows 10 PC.
Absolutely.
You've got touchscreen devices, you can write on the screen. I know you use your little pen stylus thingy a lot with your Note 8. And of course in the start menu you can have your live tile section and customize that however you want, as you would on a mobile phone, right? So I think that the interconnectivity between what we use is becoming more and more of a need of everyone. The need has come from the customer, and it's pretty exciting to see Microsoft do something about it with what they're building into Windows.
Absolutely. And I'm going to just spy straight into one of these devices because I think one of the really good things about the device I'm going to talk about first off links back to why would you have two devices to do multiple things.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about a device from Acer, Dell, Lenovo, HP. We want to talk about all of them and some of the different things they have to offer.
Absolutely.
And I'm starting with Acer, and I've got to talk because I genuinely love this device, about the Acer Nitro Spin.
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, an Acer Nitro is a gaming laptop.
Yeah.
It's not like the hard out $5,000 gaming laptop, it's the affordable one.
Yeah.
And an Acer Nitro Spin is one that's convertible and touchscreen.
Yes.
And we will be chucking up pictures here. We might use some post-production magic and go and talk to Acer about this.
Over-promising.
We might.
We'll see how we go.
I don't know. It depends on how.
At the very least, we'll put a picture.
Yeah, But this is actually a beautiful gaming device, and I don't mean because we are talking about modern mainstream devices, right?
Yeah.
It's not beautiful in gaming terminology. It's beautiful in a premium looking device.
And just your overall use, right? And I think that you hit the nail on the head when you're saying you're wanting to talk about it because it's a device that does multiple things that you want it to do. You can put it in tent mode and watch Netflix in bed, or you could even put it in tent mode and connect your Xbox controller and essentially just use it as a screen, while streaming from your Xbox as well.
Absolutely. It's touchscreen, so we get that natural interaction. Yeah. I would say that it's probably just a little bit thicker than a Surface Book 15-inch.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's very slim, and it's very... that's something that's awesome when it's got that power, right? Because it does let you do, if you were a designer and wanted a cool, very useful device, I was going to say utilitarian, but I only mean that in the fact that it does everything they would need.
Absolutely.
And it does it well. Yeah. That would be a perfect device because you still, you take something around which looks very unique. It's got a bit of colour on it as well.
It's got red, it goes faster.
It goes faster.
Yeah.
Just like this couch.
Beat you to it, mate. I was throwing you off. You're just like, you stole my line. What am I doing?
My life is falling down. But absolutely, it's got that nice little red outline to it. Mm-hmm. It's got still that nice sleek black. Red and black goes together like a dream. Yeah. And of course, it's got the entertainment value. I just think it's a great device.
I think for me, the thing that excites me the most about that device is the potential it's given to the market.
Yeah.
And I think we talked on our first ever podcast about Surface and how it came to be and the 5-year journey that it's taken on itself. But it's taken on the market as a whole. Like before Surface came out, there weren't really any 2-in-1 devices. It really kind of built that category up from the ground. And like when we talked to Carlin the other week about HP's new Omen and how thin and light and the cooling and all of the things on there that have come into it, I think of course it is a competitive nature, right? Like it's brands that are coming in and wanting you to buy their product. But I think what's really exciting about Ace's Nitro Spin, that's the right way around, not Spin Nitro. Either or, same but different. But I think that's the really special thing about that. In that category of laptop, of device, it's done something different. Like I don't think I've ever seen a dedicated 360 gaming device before.
No, absolutely. And you can get premium devices, you can plug into accelerators to turn them into gaming machines and do all that stuff. But this is a device which is incredibly functional.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly sleek and nice looking.
Yeah.
It's just a great all-rounder, I think. A great all-rounder.
Absolutely. And as we talked about with that HP device the other week, I know that we keep bringing it back in, but it's the easiest thing to refer to, is that for a lot of what we do need that high spec range, right? Yeah. If you're editing music, if you're editing video, all of that kind of stuff. Like I use Premiere Pro on a top model Surface Book, so that 16 gig RAM and 1 terabyte SSD, and that it runs it, but I wouldn't feel comfortable running it on anything, definitely not anything lower than 8 gig RAM. So having those high-powered devices and a more functional form factor for your day-to-day user, I think that we're seeing less of this PC is for this,
absolutely,
that PC is for that.
I think one of the reasons that I do like the Acer Nitro, and this is probably the last thing I'll say before we go into something we've chosen, is I genuinely see it as a device that could replace my Surface Book. Because we've got the same one, right?
Yeah.
And the Surface Book, I'm pretty open. It is my favourite. Surface Book 2, sorry. Yeah. It is my favourite member of the Surface family.
Yeah.
I'd choose my favourite child.
Yeah.
It's the Surface Book 2. And, for me, weight and stuff, I don't mind carrying around a slightly heavier device.
Yeah.
And I don't mind carrying around a slightly bigger device. It might be because I'm 6'4" and it doesn't feel like it. But that Acer Nitro, even though it's a 15-inch, I would absolutely do that because it's still very light for what it is.
For what it is.
It lets me do the gaming that I like to do at home on my Surface Book 2 in my spare time. I'm not, hard out, but I do play some Total War games quite religiously. And I do the video editing as well. So
yeah, sure.
I think that's actually why
it's
one of my favourite devices on the market.
Excellent. All right, next up we are talking about our good friends at Lenovo, and it's always been, their yoga series has always held a very special place in my heart. Maybe because they used Ashton Kutcher for the original marketing in New Zealand, I'm not entirely sure. But their Yoga 920, I think, is such a beautiful premium device. Once again, going with that 360 hinge, I think is really important. And they've managed to pack this out with quite a lot of high specs. I'm not much of a spec-based person, as we've come to know on this podcast. So what having a high-spec device means for me is what we were talking about just before, is having a device that can actually handle everything that I'm doing. And once again, it's touchscreen, it's pen capable, it's actually also mixed reality capable as well.
I was quite surprised by that.
I think that's awesome. There is also a SKU available with a 4K screen, and I wouldn't settle for anything less than that personally.
And they come with pens and stuff, so you've got that inking experience. Can I tell a little bit of a story about Lenovo Yoga?
Go for gold, my friend.
I was still in retail, working in retail when Lenovo first came to New Zealand. So I was working in a store, and I remember going to their launch night. And it was actually one of the coolest launches I've ever been to, one of the coolest road shows. There were two things that wowed me, and both of them were Yoga Series devices. One was their tablet, because it had a projector on it, and I was like, I have to get this in my life.
What happened to that?
Still around. Yeah, you don't see it in stores as much, but they're still around.
Okay, interesting.
And I remember seeing this beautiful, super slim, burnt orange device with a watch band on the back of it. I fell in love just looking at it.
The overall design is so classy, it's so sleek, it's pristine, and with that new 4K screen, I think that they hold a very high title in that premium device range, right? Of just being, I think, a real benchmark for what design should be.
I think I'm gonna make a bold statement here, Hannah. Bold statement. If I had to, there's a few devices that purely on looks. If I threw everything out of the door and just wanted to get things that looked nice, the top of the list would be the Lenovo Yoga. Only the rose gold speakers, the one with the black and rose gold edging, and the Surface laptop would be in that conversation too. Those are the three that would be in the conversation.
Interesting.
I would just walk into those are three devices that have the look so nailed down. You just walk in and it's like, that looks nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I was actually in store at that time too, where with the do you remember those red benches with like Ashton Kutcher doing like a press up or something?
They had the split, they had the Ashton Kutcher signs laying down. And the like different tent modes on it. I remember it all very vividly.
And I think that once again, like in talking about market changes and market leaders, I think that the Yoga was very important in that convertible story as well.
I think we'll have to insert a picture of Ashton Kutcher lying down. Doing his,
not the device, just him. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Fletch, what are we talking about next?
Okay, next, I'm very excited for both of these next ones because, of course, I know what they are. But we're going to talk about the Dell XPS next.
And you've said it every time. I'm going to say it this time. I think if I didn't have a Surface, the Dell XPS would be next in line.
I 100% agree. I did talk about that Acer Nitro. The reason I love it is it could replace my device. But a device that I have multiple times thought about buying for myself is that Dell XPS, like you say. But so after I worked in a retail store, I then went to repping and visiting retail stores. And I worked in a store that didn't sell Dell. Dell wasn't available. And I went into visiting these stores that did sell them. And the XPS, I all of a sudden noticed these two devices with fantastic specs that were super premium, and they were the XPS 13s and 15s. And the XPS 15, I know we don't always talk about specs, but we do sometimes, blew my mind because it was the first premium device I saw with a 1050 graphics card in, which to me was awesome. That's what a lot of Surface Book 2s had in them. That's a super powerful device.
Yeah.
And they looked amazing. They had nice matte colours on it.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. They were convertible, so they're that 360-degree rotation. I just really liked them. They had the borderless screens, so they got that sleek design as well.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
That was my real gravitational pull towards the Dell XPS range. Is I believe they called it the Infinity Edge screen.
They might do, but that's also what Samsung calls their phones.
Interesting. It's something like, it's one of those terms. We all have our terms in this industry. But I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
And once again, when you think about what you're using a device for, and in all honesty, what I use a device for in my personal time as a personal device is really watching Netflix, YouTube videos, Facebook, booking travel, those kinds of things. So that's all things that require a good looking screen.
Yeah. And I think we are talking about that modern device story. We're not actually necessarily talking about just premium. And I think the XPS, don't get me wrong, it is a genuinely premium device. But if we were looking at something on value for money, the XPS is going to be absolutely close to the top of the range because you get that mix of performance and design at a fantastic price. It's actually pretty impressive what they do with that. Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And like we said at the very beginning, never underestimate how something good looking sells. And that's very much just a motto that I run with. In terms of what kinds of devices you generally look at first when you go into a store and when you're ready to buy, you look at the beautiful shiny new one. That's what you gravitate towards first. And next up we're going to talk about some devices that have that shiny new pull, but it may be a little bit more affordable.
Yes, I'm really excited to talk about this, and it is quite a broad category. And I think Hannah was like, I PG podcast, I can't say the swear word, but stuff you, Fletcher. When I said it, because I was like, it is going to be a mouthful conversation, but it is the HP Pavilion range.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect point to move on to the HP Pavilion range, because over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a really amazing journey in what is designed and positioned in the HP entire family as a mainstream device. But a mainstream device which has moved from being a brick to a very premium looking machine.
Yeah.
So these, obviously they're HP, you go from just normal HPs, then to Pavilions. Those are their mainstream, and then you get into their premium Envy Inspector range.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've actually started to put Pavilions into the older older Envy bodies.
Right.
So you all of a sudden have devices that go from $800 up to $2,000 plus that are all in amazing bodies.
Yeah.
They're all in bodies that feel very solid.
Yeah.
They've got this generation of them. They have amazing B&W speakors on the side, which would be our B&O speakers, I should say. Sorry, not Bowers and Wilkin. It's Bang & Olufsen. No, if you look at the speakers on the side and how they've cut the keyboard as well, they look really, really nice. It's right in the design of the way we design our homes nowadays. You could go into the design store or something like that, and you could pick up cool accessory for your house, which would perfectly match your Pavilion.
Yeah, that's
9
really
out of
cool.
10 times, right?
And I know
awesome.
as well, HP have really gone down the premium road, and that they make their own luxury bags.
Yes.
For the Spectre range.
Leather black bags.
Yeah, and
matching colours.
Really nice mice and all of that kind of stuff as well. So they're also a company that are all about that full solution.
Yeah.
And I think, what you're talking about in the full market offering, and once again, my theme that I'm talking about with all of these products is that is what we need to happen.
Absolutely.
That is what everybody wants and needs to happen at that price range.
Yeah.
If you're already spending $1,000 plus on your phone, and you then want to go out and buy a laptop at a similar price, you want to have that same kind of experience. So I think that touchscreen offering, that 360 offering that HP have brought to their Pavilion range is incredible.
Absolutely. And even, we're talking about modern, we're talking about how nice it looks, the design and stuff. Also, their color choices are awesome. So, I think anyone could walk into a retail store today. And they would go to the PC aisle, and they would be looking around, they'd see a lot of black machines, they'd see a lot of chrome machines, but then all of a sudden they'd come across these really nice looking blue machines, these really nice looking red machines. And I think that's awesome, right? And that's, I think it links back to, Surface Laptop from Microsoft as well,
Absolutely.
and type covers, and arc mice, and all that. It's not just
having the ability to personalize.
We're on it. Yeah. It's good.
I remember when I very first started, a big device was the HP Stream.
Yes. The blue one?
the blue and the pink one. The blue and magenta.
Did you see the purple one as well?
Yes, that was the next generation, I believe. But I think just having that offering, customers came towards it. And I think that it was a really strong position device to compete with something like a Chromebook. And just in looking at that price range and what you can actually get for that amount of money, I think especially in the last 5 years, as you were saying, even more so in the last 2 years, has really, they've just opened a whole new door with their product range.
Absolutely. And I know we've talked about Pavilion a lot, but it is because it is it's quite a broad family rather than specific devices. But I also just have to mention any touchscreen Pavilion is also pen capable. Which is really cool. So, it's getting into those modern features.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to the new HP Pen, which I got to experience a lot last week. It's amazing. I think it's one of the best pen experiences I've had when it comes to being a fully Windows approved one. So if you open PowerPoint, which is a big one for us, it automatically will have that click through. Before it was only the Bamboo and the Surface Pen, which you didn't have to customize. So now that's in that family as well.
That's awesome. That's
having
really cool.
That tilt, the same pressure sensitivity as a Surface. It doesn't rub out on the back, but you just hold the button, next to it and it rubs out, and that's a very natural experience on it. And having a great app, just like the Surface app, to customize the buttons. It's very good.
I think that's very cool, and I think that that's really summed up what I happen to have ended up talking about on this podcast, is when something awesome happens at market that can change everything. And that can really, if one company can do it, then every company can do it.
Absolutely.
Then if every company can do it, it becomes a competitive market, so it becomes better for the consumer. And I think that's really cool. And I'm really excited to see what the next 5 years spit out in terms of devices and where we're going, because we're only seeing it go from strength to strength. I don't step into a store often. I used to go into retail stores every single day of my life. But I don't get out and about as often as I used to. And I feel like every time I go in now, the product range is completely different. There's something completely different, and I find myself walking down the aisles, touching everything. I'll close them and see if they make a snazzy sound like the Surface Pro kickstand does. All kinds of things. And I think that's the experience that's the experience I want when I go into a store. I want to be able to look at things and get excited. And if I'm spending that kind of money, anything over $100 really, you do have to think twice about, right? I'm not made of money, and I'm sure none of you guys are either. If you are, comment and be our friend.
Absolutely.
But you know what I mean? I think that those kinds of things is what I'm really excited to see coming to a lot of devices that have Windows. And while we don't necessarily go down this road, I think that that's something that Apple have nailed for years. I'm just going to say it. But that's something that they've really nailed. And I think that it's very exciting to have so many PC-based offerings that come to that same beautiful design standard as Apple have withheld for the last however many years.
Absolutely. And there's one more thing. I know we like to talk a lot, but there's one more thing I'd like to say before we kind of say goodbye, because I feel like it's been a great cast again today. But I think one of the coolest things that we've just seen as we've talked about all these devices is how, PCs are also becoming an accessory for your home now, right? They're becoming a fashion statement.
Yeah.
They're becoming a personalization statement. They're able to show a little bit more about who you are as a person when you buy them.
Yeah.
And, OEMs and stuff are doing a fantastic job. They don't just design their devices thinking, oh, this will look cool. They'll actually go to, kitchen design shows in Germany, in Europe, in the fashion centers of the world, the design centers of the world. They actually go to these huge events.
Observe all of these other things to bring that into their product.
They hire famous designers and that's why it can now match. And I think that's something that's awesome, and we should encourage them to keep doing by showing support in that way as well. So very cool story. But that's it from me. I'll finally stop talking.
Not a problem, Fletch. We'd absolutely love to hear from you guys what your favourite PCs are at the moment. Obviously, in New Zealand, we do have a limited range. We know out there are things like Asus and Razer and all of that kind of stuff, which isn't actively stocked in New Zealand. Like when I went to Canada, having that little peruse over things. Fletch is going on tour next week.
I am.
So we may have,
footage,
hopefully, some exciting footage of some things that Fletcher sees over
in London.
In London,
It's going to be awesome.
Disclose the location,
that's
but
okay.
off we went. All right, cool. That is it from us today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.